Welcome back once again. Today we are going to look at storage conditions, and we are looking at storage conditions majorly under pharmacy practice, where we are looking at the storage management or management of storage in our store, or management of stock in the store. So when we look at storage conditions, we are looking at what are the conditions that our medicines should be stored under, and then what qualifies them to be stored in that specific condition, and then why would we use that specific condition. In case those conditions are not followed, what will happen to our products? So that is what we are going to look at. The person presenting or talking is Young Grace, and I'm from the pharmacy department. And this specific course unit is what we call pharmacy practice. So I welcome you all. Let us be attentive so that in case we have any questions, you can put it in the comment section and then we get back to you. Thank you so much. So the outline for today is storage conditions for different products. What are the conditions for storage for different products? And then how do we manage stock in the medicine storeroom? So our objectives of this specific lecture is, at the end of this unit, you should be able to describe the different storage conditions, and then after describing them, you put more emphasis on which products are stored at normal temperatures, and then which products are that are needed in a controlled environment, and then what are those products that require special care, and then those that of course will require some special care have been listed here. Those are the narcotics, so you give those different examples of narcotics, give examples of the flammables, and then give the examples for the corrosives. Then you will as well explain the store arrangement, how you can arrange your stock in the store, and why would you prefer that specific arrangement in the store. After we are done with that, we shall state the accountability and documentation. How do we account for whatever is in the store, whatever moves out of the store, whatever we are managing in the store, and then how do we manage the documentations, and what are some of the documentations that we have or that we can have in the store. So let us start with the introduction. We see that medicines and other stocks, of course other stocks apart from medicines can be the medicine supplies. Examples of the medicine supplies we can have gauze, we can have cotton wool, and then we can have maybe the waste bins, where we have the red, the yellow, and then the black. However, we also have other types of bins, but those are the main bins we have. So even these bins are part of the stock. They are part of the items that we have in the store, and then other departments will come and order in case they want to use them, or in case what they already had maybe wears out, so they will have to get a new one, or in case of the type of method they used to dispose them is not appropriate, still they will have to come and get from us. That is why we are saying medicines and other stocks that must be located in part of the store with the correct combination of temperature and security. So whatever we have in the store, we have to make sure that we are storing it in the correct temperatures, and these temperatures, they can be guided to us by the manufacturers themselves, and then they give us instructions on how to store. Every product that comes, the manufacturer always gives or puts for us a label. If they don't have the label, or if the label does not clearly state the storage conditions, they have what we call leaflets. There are these papers that whenever we are opening every product, we get the leaflets in them. So the leaflets can give us direction for use, can give us direction for storage. So our emphasis will be on direction of storage, so that we make sure that the quality of the product does not degrade because of the poor storage, because of how we poorly handled it in the store. So by making sure that it does not degrade in the store, we have to follow the instructions given by the manufacturer, because the manufacturer knows the active ingredient they have used and the factors that affect the active ingredient, as well as other pharmaceutical excipients that are included in the drug and factors that affect that pharmaceutical ingredient that they have put for us. If no specific instructions are given by the manufacturer, meaning we can store the specific uh, items stock in a specific or in normal storage conditions, and we are going to see what are the normal storage conditions and what temperatures are they, and then how do we take care of it. So we are starting with one of the storage conditions, and that is normal room temperatures. So most of the drugs, in case they do not have special storage instructions from the manufacturer, you find that we store them under room temperature, normal room temperature. So how we store it in the normal room temperature, we are going to make sure that the store or the room is well ventilated, and it is a well ventilated premise. Should be aerated, and then we need adequate lighting in that specific area. Lighting, not necessarily external light, can be the internal light. And then we have to take note of the temperature. That's why we are saying here the storage at a temperature of 15 to 25 degrees centigrade. And then depending on the climatic conditions, the temperatures can be up to 30 degrees centigrade. So it depends on the specific location, room temperature can go up to 30 degrees centigrade. However, our range is 15 to 25, or we can say 15 to 30 degrees centigrade, since other climatic conditions can go up to the 30 degrees centigrade. If no specific instructions are given for the product, these storage conditions apply for all products that do not have the specific instructions. In case we go through the leaflet, in case we go through the label of the specific product and it has no special storage conditions, we are going to store it under normal room temperature. And most of the medicines or the products we have in the store, we store them in this specific manner. The second storage condition we have is what we call cold storage. Products which are refrigerated include, of course, cold storage is like storing at a restricted temperature, and majorly the refrigerated temperature or the cold temperatures. Okay, so we have examples of those products or medicines that we can store under cold storage. Some of them, we have the vaccines, we have the serum, we have insulin, and then we have test kits. So vaccines are biological substances that may lose their effectiveness quickly if they become too hot or too cold, especially during transport and storage. So you find that before the medicine or before the vaccine reaches a final consumer, there are other factors that may affect its effectiveness. One is the transportation. If we do not take note of how we are transporting these products, they can affect, or their effectiveness will degrade in the course of transportation. And then storage, if we do not take note of how we store these products, its effectiveness before it reaches the final consumer will degrade, or it will lose its effectiveness, or in a layman's understanding, we are going to say it is going to get spoiled. Okay, yeah, so having a backup generator is crucial so that our medicines are protected in the event of a power fail. So power failure always, sometimes we are not warned on when it will go off. So having a standby generator helps us to make sure that we do not affect the cold chain items that we have in the store. Because if we do not have a standby generator, an effective generator, we find that or power source, not necessarily generator, we find that we are going to affect the effectiveness of our cold chain items. That is the vaccine, the insulin, the serum, and then the test kits. So vaccines should be transported and stored according to the manufacturer's recommendations. Every vaccine that a manufacturer gives us, or that a manufacturer manufactures or makes, we find that the the manufacturer gives a clear instruction of how it should be stored. However, most manufacturers recommend us to store cold chain items or vaccines majorly at a temperature of 2 degrees centigrade, that is a plus 2 degrees centigrade to plus 8 degrees centigrade, until the point of administration. Vaccines exhibit different stability profiles. Okay, so we have those that are sensitive to heat. In case we do not maintain, or the temperature goes beyond 8 degrees, of course that will be heat. You find that they are going to be affected, and some of them are here. You can be asked, your different lecturers can ask you, what are some of the examples of vaccines that are sensitive to heat? We have hepatitis B, and then these other ones are BCG. And then there are those that are sensitive to cold. In case that temperatures go beyond 2 degrees plus 2 degrees centigrade, you find that that becomes too cold. And when it gets too cold, it also affects the effectiveness of specific vaccines. And some of the examples of those that are going to be affected when it is too cold, or that are sensitive to cold, we have the BCG vaccine. Okay? So this should not be frozen. In case it is frozen, its effectiveness will have degraded. So we have a quiz here, or a question here. And are there any products you know that require cold storage? Give their examples, apart from the ones we have given, apart from vaccines, apart from sera, apart from insulin, test kits. Are there any that you know? If they are, please put in the comment section so that we can approve that whether it is right or not. So you put it down there, and then we discuss more about it. So apart from room temperature storage conditions, or normal room temperature, and then apart from the cold chain or cold storage conditions, we also have those medicines, those products that we need to store under special storage conditions. And they are, we see that some products require storage in an access controlled environment. These products are those at risk to overabuse or have the potential for addiction. Non-narcotics that are frequently stolen also need storage with a restricted access. So most of the drugs that get stolen need restricted access. We can have not more than 2 people have access to this specific restricted medicines. And if we control them like that, you find that we are able to avoid theft and then other security breaches like bribery that may come up, because everyone after all can access the store and pick them or go away with them. So there is need for us to restrict, and there is need for us to have a special storage for them. We can make sure maybe they are under lock and key, or we have them in a specific room, or we have them separate from the main store, and then they are classified also in 3, which we are going to look at. We have 3, they are classified in 3. 1 is what we call the narcotics. Ideally, red warning lights. When you are storing narcotics, you make sure that you have a red warning light or a bell that will activate when the door is unlocked. So in case somebody enters in the room that has narcotics without maybe your permission, at least there should be an indication or a signal to be sent to the person maintaining the store that somebody has accessed the room for narcotics, and that can be a bell or a red warning light. You can have different colors of light depending on what products. For narcotics, you can take red. Maybe flammables, you also have a specific color, and then corrosives, you also have a specific color, so that you know it is the corrosives that they have that they are entering in, it is the narcotics room that they are going to, and then it is the flammables room. Or if it is a general store as well, you can as well put the specific light just to keep track to keep track of what is happening in your store. The entry to the cabinet and then a store must be controlled. So the entry to these specific places that we have designated for narcotics should be controlled. Not everyone should have access to it. And those that have access should be professionals. They should be knowing, or they should be the ones in charge of that specific storeroom, or that specific narcotic area, or that specific narcotic cupboard. Not more than 2 people should access or should have access to this. So here comes another quiz. Give any examples of narcotics that you know whose storage requires restricted access. We can put this in 5 or 2 minutes. Like we can have 2 minutes to answer this, and then discuss the different medicines that need controlled environment. Discuss the different medicines that need controlled environments. So you can find out here whether whatever you put down was right. We have examples of narcotics. These are the different drugs. We have opioids, and then the strong analgesics, and the examples are put here. And then we also have the psychotropic medicines, which we have the examples here. And then we have the strong tranquilizer medicines. We also have them here and their examples. However, we need to note down something. Here you are just confirming whatever you wrote down, whether it was right. Okay, because the last slide was talking about you giving examples of narcotics and those types of medicines that need special conditions. So these are the types of medicines that need special conditions with their examples. Okay. So those that require controlled access include narcotics and then the psychotropics. We have the psychotropics and narcotics. So that takes us to another compound or another group that needs special conditions. And this time we are looking at flammables. A separate building reduces the risks of fire spreading to the main store. The store must be well ventilated and fireproof, and then firefighting equipment must be available in that specific room. Doors must be clearly labeled. You can label it hazard, you can label it flammable, or restricted only for the staff in the store, and then they must be stored in their original containers. So there is another quiz here. What are examples of flammables found in hospital? Any that you have, you can put them down, and how are they stored? Put that down in writing, and then we shall still confirm whether what you wrote was right. Yes. So outline some examples that you know of flammables that we have in the hospital. 2 minutes. Okay. So we see that the flammables mostly we have mostly the laboratory items, and those laboratory items contain alcohol and then ether in them. So this takes us to the third compound, or the third element, or the third item that requires special storage conditions, and that those are corrosives. Always store corrosives away from flammables, and then use a separate steel cabinet to prevent leakage. Use appropriate industrial type protective gloves and eyeglasses when handling corrosives. Okay, so here we have also a quiz. Discuss the different corrosives that you know and are used in hospitals. How are they stored? So after you have identified them, how do you think they are stored? What do they put in consideration? What have you seen on how they manage them? Okay, so you put that down, and then we shall confirm here. So corrosives are oxidant substance commonly found in the hospital or other high-level health facilities can include this. So you can confirm with whatever you wrote whether it was right, or you can add this to whatever you wrote. And then if you're doubting of the answer you had frozen, you can put it in the comment section so that we can see how to help you, or whether you can take it or not, because we may have more examples more than what we have here. All right, so those are the different storage conditions that we needed to know. We have the special storage conditions. Under special storage, we look at flammables, we look at corrosives, and we look at narcotics. And then under cold storage, we have things or some medicines that require cold storage, and we have seen examples of them, and we have seen those that are sensitive to heat as well as those sensitive to cold. And then we looked at the normal room temperature, and we looked at its range, and we said in case the product does not have a special storage condition given or instruction given by the manufacturer, we can store them under normal room temperature. So there are effects in case we don't follow this, in case we don't carry out this, in case we don't take note of whatever storage conditions we have looked at. There are effects of poor storage of medicines. Okay, because if we don't follow the instructions for storage conditions, meaning we are going to experience the effect of not following them, and that effect we can say effect of poor storage of medicines. And there are a number of them. One, we have toxic when exposed to heat. There are those elements that are toxic when they are exposed to heat. So you find that the patient instead will now consume the toxins. And then they can lose their potency when exposed to light and heat. There are those that lose potency when exposed to light and heat. And examples of those, we have oxytocin, and then we have engrometrin are some of them. So this also poor storage as well may result in failure of vaccines to protect. Remember, vaccines are given to the body to protect you or guard you against a specific disease, okay, or getting affected by a specific disease. For example, we have the COVID vaccines and different brands. They protected us from getting exposed to COVID. We have the polio vaccine. It is protecting us from getting exposed to polio, and the rest that we know, tuberculosis, protecting us from getting exposed, the BCG vaccine, of course. And then we see that in case we do not take control or we do not protect the temperatures at which we are storing those vaccines, they are not going to protect us. The vaccines will fail to do their function. And then we are going to have wastage. So some of the flammables may burn, and then we get wastage where it can burn the whole store. And then corrosives, we find we may have damage. Maybe we pouring on people, pouring on the floor, and as it flows, it affects others. Wastage can as well be in case they get exposed to heat. In case they get exposed to heat and they are sensitive to heat, they may melt. And when they melt, we will have made a loss. Okay, and then those sensitive to light and heat as well, you find that the patient, even if a patient consumes them, their effectiveness is not going to be felt by the patient, or the patients will have to take long to recover, something like that. So wastage can be much. We can have breakage because of our carelessness. We can have leakage, and then the leakage spoils every other medicines. Then theft. If we do not restrict the narcotics, people will steal them because they are addictive. And because of their addictive property, people always take them. And it has a lot of funds, like you get money from it. So if we do not take care of it, we are going to have losses, and then theft will have been identified. So we have a question here. Which kind of store arrangement do you know? Any arrangement in the store that you've heard of or that you know, you can note it down, and then that takes us to the different store arrangement. However, before we look at the different store arrangement, there are principles of store arrangement that we need to know, and these include follow the manufacturers or the Skype's directions when stocking, and then follow labels or storage conditions. Always place liquid products on the lower shelves or on the bottom of the stacks, and then store products that require cold storage in appropriate temperatures, controlled zones that we just looked at previously. Other principles we see: store high security or high value products in appropriate security zones, and then separate damaged or expired products from the unusable stock without delay, and dispose of using established disposal procedures. Always store all commodities in a manner that facilitates the FIFO. FIFO is fast expiry, fast out. Okay, and then policy, so that you make sure that they don't always expire in your storage. Arrange cartons so arrow points up, and identification levels, expiry dates and manufacturing dates are visible. Like, arrange your things where people can see the expiry date and the manufacturing date visible, so that we always follow the FIFO and the FIFO. So the different store arrangement may require us to know the different storage systems, and some of the systems that we have for storage, we can use shelves. Okay, so shelf tables and tablets and capsules together, and the liquids and then the ointments together. So shelves enable us arrange, and they are very common. We can have them in community pharmacies, we can have them in the hospital store, we can have them in a satellite pharmacy, we can have them in the drug shops, and then any other drug outlet we may have our shelves. So we have the top shelves, we have the middle shelves, and then we have the bottom shelves. So the top shelves always tablets, capsules, and other dry medicines, for example, ORS. So all those medicines that do not have the liquid component or the high content of liquid in them, we can put them at the top shelves. And then the middle shelves, we can store liquids, including injectable and ointments. And then the bottom shelves, we can have surgical items, laboratory supplies, and then labels. So find the generic name. Okay, find the generic name of each medicine in your store. Know your medicines in the store, or use generic names to classify your stock. Arrange and label the supplies on the shelves. Arrange your shelves neatly and then classify them and label them. So we see that the group identical items in amounts that are easy to count, such as in pairs, or a group of 5 or 10. Store injectables in groups of 10s. Okay, and then print the generic name of each item on the label. Attach the label to the front of the items on the shelf. Store similar items together. For example, those that we can group them as the external, maybe those that are for external use only, for internal use only, and then the injectables alone. So that is what we need to put in consideration. However, there is something we need to note, that is similar refers to the route of administration. You can as well these routes of administration, separate them based on their routes. The internal use only, the external use, and then those that are both internal and external, you also arrange them separately. So what we need to put in consideration when we are managing the store is we always have to carry out what we call stock rotation. And stock rotation has two specific things that we need to know. That is the FIFO and the FIFO. The FIFO is fast expiry, fast out, and then the FIFO is fast in, fast out. For fast expiry, fast out, make sure that those medicines with short expiry move out fast, and then those that came in fast move out fast. Okay, So first in, first out, and then first expiry, first out. So in case we have two shipments, in case we have received medicines two times, for example, we received today on 15th maybe of March 2024, and then we receive on 15th April 2024. But the ones we have received on 15th April have a short expiry compared to those that we received in March. So we shall make sure that we first give out those with a short expiry of April, and then those that have long expiry can stay in the store. And for cases of FIFO, we say that we make sure that these that have come in first move out first. Okay, so we make sure that these that have come in March will move out first before we start those in April. That is how the FIFO and the FIFO works. This avoids accumulation of expired medicines. So we have here a question: what is the difference between the FIFO and the FIFO? Which method do you use to store and distribute commodities in your facility? This is something for thought or something to note down and clearly know the difference. FIFO, expiry dates are dates printed by the manufacturer on containers or packages or packaging material to show how long the contents will remain effective. Medicines are stored with the earliest expiring batches in front and hence are picked and issued first. Write expiry dates on the stock cards. So stock can be sent to facilities or dispensed at least 6 months before their expiry. Remember, the order in which you receive products is not necessary. The order in which they expire or they will expire is necessary. Products you received most recently may expire sooner than the products you received earlier. So it is extremely important to always check the expiry dates to make sure that dates are visible while the products are in storage. Okay, so FIFO, in this case, newly received items are stored behind those that were received earlier. This is applicable in items with no expiry dates. For example, soaps and detergents. Okay? So some soaps or soap can also have expiries. However, there are those without. And then items with the same batch number and expiry date, we can also do this to them. Okay, apart from the soap and with those without, we can also have those with the same expiry and then the same batch. We also arrange them like that. Apart from stock rotation, we have another way of arranging stock. We have what we call stock classification. How do we classify our stock? All medicine stores should have a system of classifying or organizing medicines. All employees should be knowledgeable of the system used in a particular store. During storage, medicines can be classified into alphabetical order. We have the therapeutic or pharmacological category, and then dosage forms. Okay, so alphabetical, we look at the alphabet, we arrange them, look at their generic name, and arrange them in their alphabetical order. So you can have two of these methods of classification. You can have 3 of them, or you can have all of them, like 2, 1, or 3 of them. Okay, so we have alphabetical order. Within each dosage form group, the suppliers or the supplies are arranged in alphabetical order by generic name. And then therapeutic class medicines are arranged depending on therapeutic class, applicable in the small store and then the clinical facility. So with the therapeutic class, we'll say maybe these are antimalarials. We pack antimalarials alone. We say these are asthmatic medicines. We pack them alone in their specific area. And then we shall say these are the cardiovascular disorder medicines. We also put them alone. The CNS medicines, we put them alone. The digestive system, we put them alone, so that whenever people are coming for the CNS, you know which corner CNS are packed, and then in that specific corner, maybe you arrange them in their alphabetical order. So you find that if they have come for the CNS medicines, you now will find CNS here. If they have come for maybe the different vaccines, you know I have put my vaccines here and I have arranged them in this order. Okay. And then dosage form, we see that medicines are categorized according to their dosage forms. For example, we have majorly three dosage forms. We have the tablets, we have liquids, and then we have semi-solids. Under tablets or solid dosage form, we have tablets, we have capsules, and then we have lozenges. Then under liquid dosage form, we have syrups, we have solutions, we have suspensions, we have emulsions, and then we have linctors, okay, and then elixirs. So that is for the liquid dosage form. For the semi-solid dosage form, we have ointments, we have creams, we have lotions, and then solid as well, we may have powders, okay. Powders may also be there. So we have tablets, we have syrups, injectables, ointments, and then we have creams. So you can arrange your thing like that. Flow of stock and paperwork. Stock record documents movement of supplies, and then they save time and act as evidence in case of theft or misuse of supplies. Stock checks should be done regularly to compare the actual stocks and recorded stocks. Accountability. Accounting of stock should be done at regular intervals, for example, once a month. Physical counts are particularly important for expensive medicines like ARVs, antibiotics, and other medicines at a high risk of theft, such as narcotics. And then investigation should be done if stock card is missing and if the physical count and the previous balance are not the same. Your accountability ensures that all the documents reflect what is physically available. This involves physical counting or counting the number of containers of each item in your pharmacy store regularly. This is called a physical count or a physical inventory. It checks that the amount actually in the store equals the balance in stock number on the stock card. When checking your inventory, make sure that each item you are counting has the same generic name, form, and then dosage form, of course, strength, and it is a unit size. Thank you so much for listening to me. If you came this far listening to me, it means you liked this specific class on storage dosage forms. So I thank you for that, and keep tuned to Grapharm Academy for more lessons like this, and send us a location where you're catching us from so that we can send you a special greeting. Thank you so much. Stay tuned.